Applied theory says everything begins when your cognitive functions gather data or notice something with your perceiving function, the part of your brain that connects with the world and collects data. Of the 4 MBTI scales, Jung said the second one is the most important in terms of your communication, teaching, and learning style. You perceive life through your cognitive functions of sensing or intuition. The task of describing something accesses our perceiving function. Here's an exercise that illustrates these differences in sensing and intuition. I split 9 members of an intact work team into 2 groups according to their preferences. 4 sensors, 5 intuitors. I gave them these instructions. Prepare a presentation that describes your view of the team in the past, present, and future. The sensing group produced 3 charts titled Past, Present, and Future, sequentially, from left to right. They presented team progression and highlighted performance and improving communication and decision-making. Their manners of speech as sensors favored a practical and sequential nuts and bolts approach, dealing literally with the instructions. The intuitors, they began by interpreting my instructions, adding their own meaning. They drew a picture of core themes: trust, communication, performance. They had a conversation among themselves about decision-making, targets, and communication, and how this all related to trust. These idea machines, these intuitors, they were unencumbered with the details of the here and now, of what was, and they used the exercise as a springboard to concepts, to their imagination and possibilities. What's important is how these opposites reacted to each other. The sensors took a look at the intuitive's presentation and said, "Wow, that's interesting, but you didn't describe your view of the team in the past, the present, and the future. In other words, you didn't follow the directions." By the way, it's sensors who came up with the term airhead, or pie in the sky, for the intuitive. Often responding to intuitives with a cynical, "What are you talking about?" Intuitives, after listening to the sensors presentation, said, "Come on, really? Don't be such a lazy brain. I mean, think outside the box. You got so wrapped around and mired in the details that you missed the essence and the meaning of the exercise." Hear those conclusions. They came not from really knowing or valuing the way the other saw the world. And that's the foundation of the communication differences here in sensing and intuitive perceptions. Sensing perceptions have to do with your 5 senses, the part of us that notices sights, sounds, smells, and all the sensory details of the present, and also remembers details from the past. You see, it's the present where your senses are. And in the past, you have a record, an archive, or an imprint of the sensory impressions you've collected. So sensors are going to be here and now focused, in the present and in the past, detailed, practical, specific, sequential. 70% of the US population prefers to perceive the world by sight, sound, touch, taste, and feel. If I can wrap my 5 senses around it, it's real. I trust it, I value it, and I notice it. I look for those things first. The other 30% of the population? Yes, they use their 5 senses, but they put more emphasis on what could be, on what might be, the future, abstraction, imagination, possibilities. There's a random nature to intuitive perceptions, as in, this triggers this, which connects to that, which links back to this. The intuitive side of the brain prefers to go beyond the senses and focus on interpretations, relationships, possibilities, patterns, a sixth sense, a deeper meaning. It prefers looking into the future and forecasting. Sensing and intuition, they have fundamental importance in terms of how we see life, how we see each other, how we see and describe anything. These differences are at the heart of many of our communication and relationship misfires. Remember, you can and do use both preferences at different times and in different situations, but which one of these kinds of perceiving functions do you instinctively tend to favor?